At his own promotion dinner, Marcus did the unthinkable. He slapped his wife, the woman who paid $47,000 to clear his student debt, in front of 6 colleagues. He called her not good enough for his level, told her she embarrassed him because dinner was 5 minutes late. But Claire didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't run. She just walked back into the kitchen, pulled out her phone, and hit record. Because what Marcus didn't know, what he'd never thought to ask, was why a company that rejected him twice suddenly offered him a job, or whose name was on the lease. In 18 hours, Marcus Stone would face the consequences. Claire Stone had set the table 3 times. The first time she'd used their everyday dishes, white ceramic, simple, clean. Then she'd stopped, stared at them, realized Marcus would notice, would comment, would make it a thing in front of his guests. So she'd pulled out the wedding china, the set her mother had saved for, the plates they'd used exactly twice in 6 years. She was learning to think like someone walking through a minefield. The apartment smelled like rosemary and garlic. Roasted chicken, Marcus's favorite, even though he'd told her last week that carbs were low status now and she should learn to cook executive meals. She'd smiled, nodded, made the chicken anyway because his friends, his colleagues from Sterling and Chen Industries, were coming to celebrate, and men who celebrated didn't count calories. The promotion had come through Friday, Senior Vice President of Business Development. Marcus had screamed when he got the call, literally screamed. Picked Claire up in the middle of her classroom during lunch hour. She taught 2nd grade at Riverside Elementary, and spun her around like they were in a movie. He'd kissed her, hard, said, "We made it, baby. We fucking made it." She'd laughed, held him, felt something close to the man she'd married 6 years ago, before the debt, before the resentment, before he started using words like aspiration and optimization in regular conversation. That was Friday. Today was Tuesday. And the man setting up his laptop in their living room, angling it so his friends could see his workspace, was not the man who'd spun her around. Claire. Marcus didn't look up from his screen. "When's the food coming out?" 20 minutes. She was in the kitchen doorway wiping her hands on a towel. "Make it 15. He clicked something. "Robert's only got an hour." Robert Finch, Marcus's former boss, now his peer. Claire had met him once, at a company holiday party. He'd been kind, asked about her students. Marcus had steered the conversation away in under a minute. The doorbell rang. Marcus stood, buttoned his jacket, he was wearing a suit in his own apartment, and shot Claire a look. Not hostile, worse, instructional. The look you'd give a dog you were still training. "Smile," he said. She did. 4 men filled the living room with noise. Robert, the former boss, tall, black, early 50s, with the kind of steady voice that made you trust him in a crisis. Kevin Song, mid-30s, loud, always laughing at his own jokes. He worked in finance, talked about crypto, wore sneakers that cost more than Claire's monthly salary. Dmitry Volkov, quiet, Russian, analytical. He'd barely spoken to Claire the 2 times they'd met. And Janet Okonkwo, the only woman. Nigerian British, sharp as a knife, with eyes that didn't miss anything. She worked in legal. Claire liked her, Marcus didn't. "Congrats, man, senior VP before 40. That's legacy shit." Kevin clapped Marcus on the back. "Appreciated." Marcus grinned. "Just staying ready, you know. Opportunity meets preparation." "Still can't believe Chen called you personally." Robert sat on the couch, loosened his tie. "He doesn't do that for most hires." Marcus shrugged, false humble. Right place, right time. Claire walked in with a tray of appetizers. Bruschetta, prosciutto-wrapped asparagus, stuffed mushrooms. "Oh, perfect timing." Marcus gestured at her like she was waitstaff. "Guys, help yourselves. The help's got it covered." Pause. Kevin laughed. Loud. Too loud. Dmitry smirked. Janet's face tightened. Robert said nothing. Claire set the tray down, turned to leave. Wait. Kevin leaned forward, grabbing 2 pieces of bruschetta. "Marcus, you said the help. That's your wife, bro." "I know." Marcus bit into prosciutto. "It's a joke. Claire knows I'm joking." She stopped at the kitchen doorway. "Right, Claire?" Marcus looked at her now, smiling, daring her to break character. Right, she said. She went back to the kitchen. Behind her, Kevin's laugh echoed again. The dinner was supposed to come out at 7 p.m. At 6:47, Claire's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, saw the name. David Chen. Do not call, M's orders. Her hand hovered over the screen. She hadn't spoken to David in 3 years. Not since Marcus had sat her down 2 months into their relationship and explained, calmly, rationally, that he wasn't comfortable with her having male friends. Especially not David. Especially not someone who'd been in her life since college. David Chen had been her best friend since their economics seminar at UC Berkeley. They'd stayed close through graduation, built careers in parallel. Hers in education, his in corporate infrastructure. He'd been the one she called when her father died. The one who'd helped her move into her first apartment. The one who knew her better than anyone. Marcus had tolerated David for exactly 2 months. Then came the conversation. I'm not comfortable with you having male friends, especially not him. Claire had tried to explain. David wasn't like that. They were family. Marcus had smiled, said, if he's family, you won't mind losing him for me. So she had. Because it was easier than fighting, because Marcus had been good then, because she'd convinced herself it was a reasonable boundary. The phone buzzed again. She answered. Claire. David's voice was careful. I know this is... I can't talk right now. I know, Marcus's promotion. Did he tell you how it happened? She froze. Claire. He said he interviewed, that they called him back. Silence. David. He interviewed twice. Both times they passed. The third time I told HR to bring him in as a favor. To you. The chicken timer beeped. She stared at the oven. Claire, I didn't tell you because I thought maybe if he got the job, he'd ease up. You sounded so tired last time we talked. I just wanted to help. I have to go. If you need anything... She hung up. Her hands were shaking. She turned off the timer, let the chicken sit, stared at the oven door and felt something crack open inside her chest. Marcus had spent 3 years telling her she was the reason he couldn't get ahead, that her job was fine for what it was, but didn't open doors, that she didn't understand ambition because she'd chosen comfort over risk, and the job he'd just been screaming about, the one he was in the living room bragging about, existed because she'd made a phone call, because David owed her, because she'd asked. The timer beeped again. She'd forgotten to turn it off. She pulled the chicken out. It was 7:05 p.m. Food's late, Marcus said it the second she walked into the dining room. 5 minutes. Claire set the platter down. I'm sorry. 5 minutes is late. He looked at his friends. See what I deal with? Kevin laughed again. Janet didn't. Claire started plating. Her hands were steady. Years of teaching had trained her for this, performing competence under scrutiny. Who were you talking to? Marcus cut into his chicken without looking at her. In the kitchen. I heard you on the phone. A parent, about a field trip permission slip. At 7 p.m. She works nights. Marcus chewed, swallowed. You couldn't call her back after. It was quick. Everything's quick with you. He set his fork down, looked at Kevin. This is what I'm saying. She doesn't think strategically. Tonight's important. I've got senior people here, and she's on the phone talking about permission slips. Robert shifted in his seat. Janet stared at her plate. Claire said nothing. You had one job tonight, Claire. Marcus's voice was still calm, conversational. One. Just like always, you can't even manage simple tasks. I'm sorry. Are you? He smiled. Or are you just saying that? She looked at him. 6 years. 6 years of this smile. I'm sorry, she said again. Kevin, oblivious, raised his glass. Yo, Marcus, man, don't be too hard on her. The food's fire. Marcus didn't break eye contact with Claire. I'm not being hard. I'm being honest. There's a difference. Marcus. Janet's voice was quiet but sharp. Maybe we should just... Janet, this is between me and my wife. He finally looked away from Claire. Claire understands, don't you, baby? Claire nodded. She reached for his shoulder, a reflex, a peace offering. He stood, fast, and hit her. The slap was open-palmed, loud. The sound cut through the room like a gunshot. Claire's wedding ring, a simple gold band, the one she'd bought herself because Marcus said diamonds were a scam, flew off her finger. It hit the wine glass in front of Janet. The glass shattered. Red wine spilled across the white tablecloth. The room went silent. Claire was on the floor. She didn't remember falling, just the cold tile under her palms, the taste of copper in her mouth, the way the chandelier above her seemed too bright, too close. "Don't ever embarrass me in front of important people again." Marcus's voice was flat, factual. "Know your place." Janet stood. "Marcus, what the—" "Janet." His hand came up, not threatening, dismissive. "This is between me and my wife. Claire understands." Claire touched her face. Her cheek was hot, numb. She looked up at him, at the man she'd paid $47,000 in student loans for, the man she'd worked double shifts for when he was finding himself between jobs, the man who'd cried in her lap when his father died and told her she was the only person who made him feel like he wasn't broken. That man was gone. Or maybe he'd never existed. "Marcus," her voice cracked. "In front of everyone." He adjusted his collar. "You think I want to associate with someone like you at this level? Look at you." He gestured, hand sweeping down, encompassing all of her. "I'm a senior vice president now. I need a partner who matches that. Not—" He paused, searched for the word. "This." Kevin stared at his plate. Dimitri sipped his wine. Robert closed his eyes. Janet's jaw clenched. Marcus turned back to the table, sat down, cut another piece of chicken. "Claire, clean up the glass and bring dessert. Please. Please." Like that made it okay. Claire stood. Her legs worked. Her hands worked. She walked to the kitchen. Behind her she heard Kevin's voice, nervous. "So, Marcus, man, what's the VP role actually covering? You doing international?" Marcus laughed. "Yeah, we're scaling into APAC. Chen's got big plans." They kept talking, like nothing had happened, like she was already gone. What Marcus didn't know, what he'd never thought to ask, was why a company that rejected him twice suddenly called with an offer 3 months ago. He never wondered why the interview felt like a formality. He never asked why the CEO's assistant had smiled when she saw Claire's name listed as his emergency contact. He never questioned why David Chen, a man who didn't take meetings with VPs, let alone interview candidates personally, had spent 45 minutes talking to him about culture fit. Marcus Stone believed in meritocracy. He believed he'd earned everything, and that belief, that unshakable, arrogant certainty, was going to cost him everything. Claire stood in the kitchen, ice pack against her face. She could still hear them. Laughing, toasting. Marcus's voice rising above the rest, telling the story of his grind. She pulled out her phone, scrolled to a contact. "David Chen, do not call, M's orders." She stared at it. 3 years of silence. 3 years of obeying a rule that had only ever served Marcus's insecurity. She deleted the M's orders part, just David Chen. Then she opened a folder on her phone. Screenshots, bank statements, receipts. Every dollar she'd ever paid toward Marcus's debt. Every rent check she'd covered when he was between opportunities. Every car payment. Every utility bill. $47,000 in student loans. Paid in full. May 2021. $8,200 in credit card debt. Cleared November 2022. $14,500 in car payments. Her name on the loan. His name on the title. She scrolled further, found the lease agreement for their apartment, signed by Claire Stone. Co-signer, her mother. Marcus's name wasn't on it. He'd never asked. She'd never told him. Claire opened her voice memo app, pressed record, slipped the phone into her apron pocket. Then she walked back into the dining room with dessert. Marcus was holding court. "And I'm talking to the board, right? And they're asking me about my 5-year plan. So I tell them, I don't have a 5-year plan. I have an execution model." He grinned. You should have seen their faces. Kevin howled. "Bro, that's cold." "It's honest." Marcus leaned back. "You can't plan disruption. You just have to be ready when the moment comes." Claire set the dessert down. Tiramisu. She'd made it from scratch. No one said thank you. Janet caught her eye, mouthed, "You okay?" Claire nodded. She wasn't. But she was deciding. Because Claire had a rule, one she'd learned from 8 years of teaching second graders who lied about who started the fight. Document first, react second. She sat at the edge of the table, hands folded, listening. Marcus didn't notice. He was performing. Here's the thing people don't get about success. He pointed his fork at Robert. It's not about working hard. Everybody works hard. It's about working smart. It's about leverage. Leverage, Dmitri repeated. Like what? Like knowing your value. Like not settling. Marcus glanced at Claire, smiled, like not being afraid to leave dead weight behind when you level up. Kevin choked on his wine. Janet's fork clattered onto her plate. Robert said very quietly, Marcus. What? Marcus's smile widened. I'm just saying, you've got to be ruthless. That's the game. Claire's phone, still recording in her pocket, caught every word. The conversation shifted. Robert, trying to steer away from the wreckage, asked about Marcus's onboarding timeline. I start Monday. Chen wants me in early, says he's got a project that needs the right kind of vision. Marcus was glowing. Honestly, I think he sees me as a protégé. David Chen? Janet's voice was careful. The CEO? Yeah, you know him? I've worked with his legal team. He's selective. Well, he selected me. Marcus shrugged. We connected during the interview. He gets what I'm about. Claire, still silent, almost laughed. Connected. David Chen had hired Marcus because Claire asked him to. Because she'd called him 3 months ago, after Marcus came home from his second rejection, and said, voice breaking, that she didn't know how much more of his anger she could take, that he was sinking into something dark, that maybe, if he just got a win, he'd come back to himself. David had said, I'll make a call. And he had. Marcus thought he'd earned it. He had no idea he was a favor. So what's the salary bump? Kevin, shameless, grinning. Marcus laughed. Let's just say I'm not worried about bills anymore. Must be nice. Kevin looked at Claire. Bet you're excited, huh? No more teacher budget struggles. Claire opened her mouth. Marcus cut her off. Claire doesn't really understand what I do. He waved his hand. Too complicated for her world. Robert's face hardened. Janet set her napkin down. Marcus, she's sitting right here. I know. Marcus's tone was light, easy. I'm not being mean. I'm being realistic. She teaches kids how to read. I negotiate multi-million-dollar infrastructure deals. There's a gap. A gap, Janet repeated. Yeah. Marcus bit into tiramisu. And that's fine. Not everybody's built for high performance. Claire stood, cleared the plates. Every word was a deposit in a ledger she was keeping. Every laugh from Kevin, compound interest. And Claire was a teacher. She knew how to grade. She knew when someone failed the test. The guests started leaving around 9:30. Kevin first, loud, drunk, clapping Marcus on the back. Bro, we need to celebrate proper this weekend. Bottles, the works. Say less. Marcus walked him to the door. Dmitri left without saying goodbye to Claire. Robert lingered. He shook Marcus's hand, then turned to Claire. Thank you for hosting. The food was excellent. Thank you, Robert. He held her gaze for a second longer than necessary. Must be proud of him. I am, she lied. Robert nodded, glanced at Marcus, then left. Janet was the last to go. She followed Claire into the kitchen. Claire, I'm fine. That wasn't fine. Janet's voice was low, urgent. He hit you, in front of us. He was excited. People don't. Janet stepped closer. I'm a lawyer. I know what I saw. Do you need me to call someone? No. Claire, I need you to go back out there. Please. Janet searched her face, then slowly pulled out a business card. Set it on the counter. My personal cell's on the back. If you need anything. Claire nodded. Janet left. The apartment door closed. Silence. Marcus walked back into the kitchen. He was smiling. That went well. Claire was loading the dishwasher. Yeah. Robert loved you, I could tell. She said nothing. You okay? She looked at him. The bruise on her cheek was already forming. I'm fine. He kissed the top of her head. Good. Listen, next time, maybe just order catering. You're clearly not cut out for entertaining at this level. He walked away, left her standing there. Claire pulled her phone out, stopped the recording. Saved it. Then she opened her laptop, typed 2 words into the email subject line. I'm ready. Recipient, David Chen. She hovered over send. Not yet, she had one more thing to do. The next morning, Marcus was at the breakfast table, scrolling his phone, eating Greek yogurt. He was cheerful, whistling. Claire sat across from him, calm, hands wrapped around her coffee mug. I need you to apologize. Marcus looked up. For what? For hitting me. For humiliating me, in front of people. He set his phone down. Claire, are we really doing this? Yes, he sighed. It was a tap. It was a slap. Okay, a slap. You embarrassed me. I reacted. It's not that deep. She didn't blink. Apologize. Mean it. Get help. I'll let it pass. We can fix this. This was the moment. The single chance. Not because Claire was weak. Because she was documenting. Because a man who can't apologize when mercy is free will never survive when the bill comes due. Marcus leaned back, smiled. Claire, you're being dramatic. Am I? Yeah. He picked up his phone again. Look, I've got a big meeting with Chen today. Can we not do the therapy talk right now? Marcus, look at me. He looked up, annoyed. I'm giving you a chance to save this. Apologize. Pause. He studied her face. Then he laughed. You want an apology? Fine. I'm sorry you can't handle being married to someone successful. I'm sorry you're stuck teaching kids ABCs while I'm changing industries. Better? That's not an apology. It's all you're getting. He stood, grabbed his keys. Now, I have a meeting with the CEO at 2. Apparently, he wants to talk about my future. Try not to embarrass me if he asks about you. Claire's grip on her mug tightened. The CEO, David Chen. Marcus stopped. Yeah, how do you know his name? I saw it on your offer letter. Right, he nodded. Well, he specifically requested me, said he wants to discuss long-term vision, pretty big deal. I'm sure it is. Marcus grabbed his jacket. I'll probably be late, don't wait up. He left, the door closed. Claire sat there, alone. She pulled out her phone, texted David. He didn't apologize. I'm ready, tomorrow's meeting's still on. David's response came in 30 seconds. I'll see you both at 2 p.m. I'm sorry, Claire. She set the phone down, stared at her coffee. In 8 hours, Marcus Stone would walk into David Chen's office expecting a promotion. He would find his wife instead. And the life he thought he'd built, the one held together by her silence, her money, her mercy, would collapse in exactly 3 minutes and 47 seconds. Claire checked the time. Then she went to teach her second graders how to spell consequence. Marcus Stone arrived at Sterling and Chen Industries at 1:47 p.m. 13 minutes early. He'd read somewhere that executives arrived early, but not too early. That showing up exactly on time signaled you had nothing better to do. That power was about calibration. So 13 minutes. He checked his reflection in the lobby's chrome paneling. Suit pressed, tie straight, hair perfect. He looked like a senior vice president. He felt like one. The elevator ride to the 20th floor took 42 seconds. He counted. Spent the time rehearsing his opening line, something confident but humble. David, thanks for the opportunity. I'm ready to build something special here. No. Too eager. Mr. Chen, I've been thinking about the APAC expansion. Too stiff. The doors opened. Marcus stepped into the executive floor. Glass walls, minimalist furniture. A receptionist who looked like she earned more than most mid-level managers. Marcus Stone, he said, 2 o'clock with Mr. Chen. She smiled, typed. He's ready for you. Last door on the left. Marcus walked down the hall, past offices with names he recognized from the company website. VPs, SVPs, C-suite. His people now. He reached the door, knocked twice. Come in. Marcus opened the door and stopped. David Chen sat behind a desk made of reclaimed walnut. Floor-to-ceiling windows behind him framed the city skyline. He was 51, Chinese-American, with the kind of face that gave nothing away. He was not smiling, and sitting in the chair across from him, hands folded in her lap, wearing a navy dress Marcus had never seen before, was Claire. Marcus's brain stalled. Claire? She didn't look at him. David gestured to the empty chair beside her. Marcus, sit. What's going on? Marcus looked between them. Claire, what are you doing here? Sit down, Marcus. David's voice was flat. Marcus sat. His hands were sweating. David, I don't understand. Is this about… Did something happen? Is Claire okay? David opened a folder on his desk. Do you know why you're here, Marcus? You said you wanted to discuss my future. I do. David pulled out a document, slid it across the desk. This is your employment contract, signed 3 months ago. Do you remember the interview process? Marcus's chest tightened. Yeah, of course. You interviewed twice before we extended an offer, correct? Right. 3rd time's the charm. Marcus tried to smile. David didn't. The first 2 times, you were rejected. Our hiring committee determined you weren't a cultural fit. Your references were weak. Your track record was inconsistent. David's voice was clinical, surgical. The 3rd time, I personally overrode the committee. Do you know why? Marcus's mouth went dry. I assume you saw potential the others didn't. No. David leaned forward. I made a phone call. From someone I trust. Someone who asked me for a favor. The room tilted. Marcus looked at Claire. She was staring at the desk. Claire called you? His voice cracked. 3 months ago. David pulled out another document, a printed email. She told me you were struggling, that you'd been rejected twice and it was affecting your mental health. She asked if I could give you a chance. He paused. So I did. Marcus's hands gripped the armrests. That's not… It's true. Claire's voice was quiet, steady. I called him, Marcus. You didn't earn this job. I asked for it. The words hit him like a fist. You… He turned to her. You what? I asked David to hire you. She finally looked at him. Her left cheek still had the shadow of a bruise. Because I thought if you got a win, you'd stop being so angry. I thought you'd come back. Marcus stood. The chair scraped against the floor. This is insane. He looked at David. She's lying. She's upset about something. She's trying to sabotage me. Sit down, Marcus. I'm not going to sit here and listen to… Sit down. The command in David's voice was absolute. Marcus sat. His heart was slamming against his ribs. David reached into the folder again, pulled out a photograph, slid it across the desk. It was a picture from college. Marcus recognized it immediately. Claire and David, arms around each other, laughing at some campus event. They looked young, happy. Claire and I met at UC Berkeley, David said. She was in my economics seminar. We studied together, built our careers in parallel. She became one of my closest friends. He tapped the photo. And 3 years ago, you told her she couldn't speak to me anymore. Marcus's throat closed. That's not what happened. Isn't it? David's eyes were cold. You told her I made you uncomfortable. That you didn't like her having male friends, so she stopped answering my calls, stopped coming to events, disappeared. He paused. Until 3 months ago, when she called me crying, asking if I could help her husband get a job. The air left the room. Marcus turned to Claire. Why would you do this to me? She didn't answer. David continued. Do you know what she said when I asked if she wanted credit? If she wanted you to know she'd made the call. Marcus couldn't speak. She said no. She said you needed to believe you'd earned it, because if you knew the truth, it would destroy you. David's voice dropped. She protected your ego, even after you isolated her, even after you made her feel small. Marcus's hands were shaking. This is a setup. You two planned this. No, Claire's voice cut through. You planned this. Last night, when you hit me in front of your colleagues. Silence. David's jaw tightened. When you what? Marcus's face went white. I didn't. It wasn't. He slapped me. Claire's voice didn't waver. Because dinner was 5 minutes late. Because I embarrassed him. Then he told me I wasn't good enough to be seen with him, that he needed a partner who matched his level. David stood, slowly. He walked around the desk, stopped in front of Marcus. Stand up. David, listen. Stand up. Marcus stood. His legs felt like water. David looked at him, not with anger, with something worse, disappointment. I hired you as a favor to a woman I love like a sister, David said, a woman who has spent 6 years paying your debts, covering your rent, and convincing herself that you were just stressed, that you'd get better. He paused. And you repaid her by putting your hands on her. It was a mistake. It was a choice. David walked back to his desk, pressed a button on his phone. Security, please come to my office. Marcus's stomach dropped. Wait, David, please. You're terminated, effective immediately. The door opened. 2 security guards stepped in. Mr. Chen. The first guard, a broad-shouldered man in his 40s, looked at David. Mr. Stone is no longer employed here. Please escort him out of the building. He's not to return. No. Marcus stepped forward. No, you can't. I have a contract. David picked up a document. The employment contract. Flipped to page 4. Section 12, subsection C. Employment may be terminated without cause during the probationary period. He looked at Marcus. You haven't started yet. There is no probationary period to violate. You have no legal standing. Marcus turned to Claire. Claire, please, talk to him. I'm sorry, okay? I'll get help, I gave you that chance this morning. Her voice was ice. You said no. I didn't mean. You did. The guards moved toward him. Marcus grabbed the edge of the desk, his top performer award plaque, the one he'd brought to show David, to prove he was worth the faith, slid off the edge. It hit the floor, shattered, glass and wood spreading across the tile like a constellation. Marcus stared at it. Then at Claire. Then at David. This is because of her, isn't it? His voice was rising, desperate. She's manipulating you, Marcus. David's tone was final. Leave. The guards took his arms, gently, professionally. Marcus tried to pull away, couldn't. You can't do this. His voice cracked. I'm a senior vice president. No, David said. You're not. They walked him to the door. Marcus looked back one last time. Claire was still sitting, hands folded, staring straight ahead. She didn't watch him leave. The door closed. The room was silent. David sat back down, let out a long breath. Are you okay? Claire nodded. She wasn't, but she was free. David slid another folder across the desk. This is everything you'll need. Restraining order templates, divorce attorney recommendations, a locksmith I trust. He can change your locks today. The apartment's in my name, Claire said quietly. He doesn't know that. David smiled, sad, proud. Of course it is. She opened the folder, saw the paperwork, the phone numbers, the escape routes he'd built for her. Thank you. Don't thank me. David leaned forward. I should have pushed harder 3 years ago. When you stopped calling, I knew something was wrong. It wasn't your job to save me. You're my family, Claire. It's always my job. She nodded, felt the tears coming, held them back. What happens now? She asked. Now? David folded his hands. Now he has 24 hours to remove his belongings from your apartment. After that, anything left is considered abandoned property. I've already contacted a friend at the DA's office. If he violates the restraining order, he'll be arrested. And his job? He never had one. David's voice was flat. The offer was conditional on background verification. As of this morning, I've flagged his file. He won't be hired here, and I'll make sure the industry knows why. Claire looked up. David. He hit you, Claire. David's voice was quiet, hard. In front of witnesses. You think I'm letting him walk into another company and do this to someone else? She didn't argue. Because he was right. Because Mercy had failed. Because Marcus had chosen this. There's one more thing. David pulled out a final document, a letter, handwritten. He slid it to her. Claire read the first line, to whom it may concern. This letter is to inform you that Marcus Stone is no longer employed by Sterling and Chen Industries due to conduct violations. I'm sending this to every executive recruiter in the industry, David said. He'll be blacklisted. Claire stared at the letter, then at David. Is this too much? She asked. Am I being cruel? David reached across the desk, took her hand. Claire, he slapped you. He told you that you weren't good enough. He humiliated you in your own home. His grip tightened. You're not being cruel. You're being clear. She nodded. Then she stood. Picked up the folder, walked to the door, stopped. David? Yeah? If I hadn't called you 3 months ago, would you have hired him? David didn't hesitate. Never. She smiled, small, sad. Then she left. Marcus Stone sat in the lobby of a Motel 6 on the edge of the city. It was 11:47 p.m. He'd been there since 4:30 p.m. when the locksmith, a woman in her 60s who didn't make eye contact, had finished changing the locks on the apartment. His apartment. Except it wasn't. He'd learned that at 6:15 p.m. when he'd tried to argue with the locksmith and she'd handed him a document. Lease agreement, signed by Claire Stone. Co-signed by Margaret Stone, Claire's mother. Tenant, Claire Stone. His name wasn't on it. He'd lived there for 4 years. His name wasn't on it. The locksmith had given him 30 minutes to pack 2 suitcases, told him anything left behind after 24 hours would be disposed of per tenant request. He'd grabbed clothes, toiletries, his laptop, left everything else. Now he was sitting on a bed that smelled like bleach and cigarettes, scrolling his phone, watching his life disintegrate in real time. 6:52 p.m. Email from Chase Bank. Dear Mr. Stone, your joint account ending in 4392 has been closed by the primary account holder. Your access has been revoked. If you believe this is an error. He'd called, not an error. Claire had opened the account 6 years ago, added him as a secondary user. She'd removed him. The account had $11,340 in it. Gone. 7:18 p.m. Text from Kevin. Bro, what happened? Janet said you got fired? Call me. Marcus had called. Kevin didn't answer. Texted back 10 minutes later. Sorry man, crazy day. Let's catch up next week. He never called back. 8:03 p.m. Email from Toyota Financial Services. Dear Mr. Stone, we've been notified that the primary account holder has requested immediate repossession of the vehicle associated with account number 87533. His car, the black Camry he'd been driving for 3 years. Claire's name on the loan. He'd left it parked outside the apartment. By 9 p.m., it was gone. 9:34 p.m., LinkedIn notification. Your profile has been flagged for review due to reported inaccuracies in employment history. He clicked. Someone had reported his Sterling and Chen Industries title as fraudulent. The senior vice president line he'd added this morning was gone, replaced with offer rescinded, not employed. 10:12 p.m. Email from Robert Finch. Marcus, I don't know what happened, but Janet told me what she saw last night. I can't be associated with you professionally. Please don't contact me again. 10:47 p.m. Text from his mother. Marcus, Claire's lawyer called. She said you hit her. Tell me that's not true. He'd tried to call. She didn't answer. Texted back, I raised you better than this. Don't call me until you've made this right. Marcus set his phone down, stared at the ceiling. The room was silent except for the hum of the air conditioner and the muffled argument happening in the room next door. He had $340 in his personal checking account. No car, no job, no apartment, no references. In 18 hours, he'd lost everything. The next morning, Marcus woke up to an email, sent at 6:47 a.m., from Claire Stone. Subject, you wanted to know your value. He opened it, no text, just an attachment, a spreadsheet. He clicked. Marcus opened the attachment, a spreadsheet. He scrolled. The first line, student loans, federal, $47,000, paid in full by Claire Stone, May 2021. Second line, credit card debt, $8,200, cleared by Claire Stone, November 2022. Third line, car loan, Toyota Camry, $14,500. Claire's name on the paperwork, his name on the title. Fourth line, rent, apartment 4B, Riverside Terrace, $32,400 over 3 years. Lease signed by Claire Stone, co-signed by her mother. Marcus's name nowhere. Fifth line, utilities, electric, internet, water, $6,890. Sixth line, health insurance during his unemployment, $9,200. Seventh line, groceries, estimated average over 5 years, $18,000. Eighth line, professional wardrobe, The suits he wore to interviews, $3,400. At the bottom, bolded, a single number, $139,590. Below it, one sentence, "You have nothing because you are nothing without the people you step on." The apartment is mine. The car is mine. The money is mine. Your job was a favor I called in. Your promotion was a fantasy. Don't contact me. Don't come near me. If you do, I'll release the recording from Tuesday night to every person in that room, plus your mother, plus your new employer, if you ever find one. You wanted a partner who matched your level. Congratulations, now you're alone at the bottom. Claire Marcus read it twice, then a third time. His hands were shaking. He tried to reply. The email bounced back. Address not found. She'd blocked him. He opened LinkedIn, searched her name. Claire Stone. Her profile was public. Current position, second-grade teacher, Riverside Elementary. Summary, passionate educator committed to building confidence, critical thinking, and kindness in young learners. Same job, same title, same photo. She hadn't changed, because she didn't need to. She'd never been the one who was small. Marcus sat on the edge of the motel bed, stared at his phone. At the spreadsheet, at the number, $139,590. He thought about Tuesday night. The slap, the way her ring had flown off her finger. The sound of the wine glass shattering. He thought about his speech. I need a partner who matches my level. He thought about the meeting. David's voice. You have no legal standing. He thought about the email. You are nothing without the people you step on. And for the first time in 6 years, Marcus Stone understood something. He hadn't been the powerful one. He'd been the expensive one. And Claire, quiet, patient, not good enough Claire, had just sent him the bill. Across the city, Claire sat in her classroom. It was 7:52 a.m. Her students wouldn't arrive for another hour. She was grading spelling tests, sipping coffee, listening to the rain tap against the windows. Her phone buzzed, a text from David. How are you holding up? She smiled, typed back, I'm okay. Thank you for everything. David, proud of you. Dinner this weekend? I'll cook. Claire, I'd love that. She set her phone down, looked around her classroom, the alphabet posters, the reading nook, the crayon drawings taped to the walls. Nothing had changed. She was still a second-grade teacher. Still drove a 10-year-old Honda, still lived in the same apartment, still made $52,000 a year. But she wasn't small. She'd never been small. She'd just been married to a man who needed her to be. That afternoon, Claire's student, a little girl named Maya, asked her a question during story time. Mrs. Stone, why do people say mean things? Claire thought about it. Sometimes, she said, people say mean things because they feel small inside, and they think if they make someone else feel small, they'll feel bigger. Does it work? Maya asked. Claire smiled. No, sweetheart, it doesn't. 6 months later, Marcus Stone was working at a call center in the suburbs. Customer service, $16 an hour, no benefits. He lived in a studio apartment with a roommate who sold protein powder on Instagram. His mother still wasn't speaking to him. Kevin had unfollowed him. Robert had blocked him. Janet had testified, via written statement, in Claire's restraining order hearing. The order was permanent. Marcus wasn't allowed within 500 feet of Claire, her school, or her apartment. He'd tried to get another corporate job. Every application ended the same way. We've decided to move forward with other candidates. David Chen had kept his promise. The letter had gone out. Marcus Stone was blacklisted. One night, Marcus was scrolling Instagram. He saw a photo. Claire and David at a restaurant, smiling over dim sum. The caption, catching up with family. Marcus stared at it. Then he closed the app, lay in his bed, listened to his roommate's motivational podcast playing through the thin walls, and thought about the moment he'd hit her, how easy it had felt, how right, how powerful. He thought about the spreadsheet, $139,590. He thought about her final email, you are nothing without the people you step on. And he realized, too late, like people who mistake cruelty for strength, that she was right. Claire gave Marcus a chance to apologize the morning after he hit her. He laughed in her face. So here's the question. If someone rejects mercy when it's free, do they deserve a second chance? Thank you for watching and please subscribe.